What's up, everybody? Today we have a 1994 Autozam AZ-1. This is something that I've seen in person probably once until this time. Now I picked one up from port and I brought it back here. This car is actually not mine. It is for a customer that ordered it and I helped them bring it in, get it cleared and whatnot. So it is currently at my house just to get once over, just to kind of clear it off before they come take it from me. So what is different about this AZ-1? They are all AZ-1s, they're all the same, but this one says M2-1015 and this nice aluminum badge on the back. It also has this funky little wing here in the back. And most importantly, it has these two bullnose yellow fog lights, the unique bumped humped hood with a center vent, and a slightly different front bumper than stock. So the deal with these M2s, right? Mazda was unable to sell off their stock. They produced all of these cars, and they made 4,409 AZ-1s and Karas, Suzuki Karas. They were unable to sell them all. They produced them all between 1992 and 1993. Oh, this might actually hold up. Okay, so 1992 and 1993, they made 4,409 of them. So somewhere in the middle of 93, they stopped making them. And it took them to 1995 to sell them all. That's not good, right? So they needed to try to help push some sales. 1993, that's when the Mazda Speeds showed up. They took the original cars that were already made off the dealer lots and started slapping on body kits to call them Mazda Speeds. So the Mazda Speed would have a different rear wing than that, and they would have a different front bumper and small cosmetic things, kind of like a different hood too, but no bullnose. So 1993 Mazda Speeds showed up. 1994 is when the M2 showed up. Their M2 division was like a special vehicle division. Think like Ford and like SVT. That's what I would compare it to. I mean, now it's not SVT anymore.
Ford Performance. They would call it Ford Performance now.
Whatever. You know what I mean. They made a whole bunch of these. They made an initial run. It was a small run. I mean, the numbers are a little bit flaky because nobody really has real documentation on this, because this is just a hodgepodge thing that Mazda did. Mazda did not keep track of any of this by VIN number or anything. So it's the hodgepodge of taking cars off the dealer lot and redoing it into whatever version that they made. These were all originally red or blue cars. There were about 2/3 that were red in the production run, and then a third were the blue ones, which seems like why the blue ones are rarer, because you don't see them as often. Assuming the seats were never changed, the car's original colors would be shown to you by the seat insert color. So this being a red seat, this car was originally red. You can start to see some of the paint start to show. You can see the red on this black, and this is normal. As the black kind of chipped away, the red starts to show itself. So that's not abnormal. This is actually correct. As janky as it may seem, that's actually correct, because they just repainted all of these a certain color. Red cars became black. They became solid red. Oh, no, hold on. Let's talk about M2s. For M2s, they were offered in black, white, and silver. So black and white cars were red, and the silver car was blue. They were a whole monotone color all the way through. AZ-1s, as you know, were always two-toned with a gray bumper and side skirt. Mazda Speeds were also solid color, but they had more color options. There's an all blue, obviously that was a blue car. There's a silver, that was also a blue car. Red and black. I mean, I guess that wasn't that many more options than usual. Here is one example here. The numbers are approximately 220 of these were made. There's a guy in Japan that's kind of like me that documented all this stuff. Obviously, being in Japan and an enthusiast, he had a lot more time than me to start doing this. I started doing this AZ-1 stuff late 2020, so really in 2021. I've only been at this 3-4 years. This guy's been documenting stuff on his own little website in Japanese since like the 90s. So he has a lot more information. He's gone to the events and stuff. During like some interviews with some Mazda executives and stuff at the time, they stated they made about 350 of these after the initial run, because they were popular hits. So they were like, oh, let's make more, let's churn out more parts. Interrupting the flow here, I also wanted to create like an English-based knowledge base for the Autozam AZ-1 Suzuki Kara. Anything everything possible that I could find and get my hands on. I wanted to document everything online so that way everything is available. Most of the articles and stuff that you find online, like especially in English, are incorrect. So translating Japanese stuff from historical posts from way back in the day where they're actually doing like meets, interviews, etc., buying the not just literature, also buying the media and stuff, getting that all transcribed and translated into English so you get the full picture of everything you would ever want to know. If you've been watching me since way in the beginning, about 4 years ago, I'm like the AZ-1 only content guy. Like, I have my own Kara, which is the AZ-1, and I was doing all kinds of stuff with it, documenting everything that I do along the way, and I'm still kind of doing that. I've been slacking a little bit, so this is the first AZ-1 video in a while, or at least AZ-1 specific, and then I'm gonna get back to that. I just need to clean up all my other cars first. For example, I even bought all these M2 voice like literature things where M2 released all these things every like a month or so, and they just kind of write about the cars and whatnot. So in this particular release, the August 1994 volume 13, it included this sheet here that stated a bunch of stuff about the AZ-1. Where is it? Right here. So the AZ-1 M2-1015. Somewhere here they mentioned that they were contracted for 220 units. This is what I just showed you on the website that documented this stuff. But this is just additional information that came with all of these. I mean, I'm spending money on buying these weird literatures, kind of becoming like a AZ-1 archive museum. This isn't even close to being all of it. I have so much stuff documented in my website. Anythingwheel.com, autozams.com, autozamparts.com. I bought a few of these domains, but I just wanted to make sure all this stuff is documented and never lost. I retain all the physical copies. I have a lot of this stuff. I need to find like a really good way to kind of seal them all up just to keep them in nice shape. I'm like the unofficial AZ-1 historical document keeper now. Go to the website, check it out. I mean, this is for everyone to see. Like, I buy all this stuff. I get money from making and selling AutoZam parts, sometimes reselling stuff from Japan just because it's convenient. I use that money to develop more AutoZam parts because mostly everything is discontinued. And I also spend the money on acquiring stuff like this. I want to say this costs like $600 to buy this, which is absurd, but the history behind this is worth it. What they did was they just churned out a whole bunch of parts too, and people were able to buy these things. And because there's no documentation on whether or not your vehicle's an M2 or not, people were able to just put the stuff on. As long as your years were mostly correct, then you could probably get away, and you spent all the money to buy all this stuff, you could probably get away with calling your thing an M2 and nobody would be the wiser. With that said, I've always been in the camp of the special models. Like, they're only worth the extra money that people are wanting or asking to pay for it, to like when they try to sell it to people because, oh, it's a special rare model. I've always been in the camp of it's only worth that much if the car was actually like different. Maybe you just like how it looks. Maybe it's in very good condition. Like, those things always like factor into the price of what something is worth. But like, is it worth more than a regular AZ-1 in the same condition? Yes, no. I mean, a little bit, because one, the parts, you know, if you were to want to buy these parts, if you wanted to get the hood, the wing, all that stuff, I mean, obviously that stuff costs money. So it's worth like this much more, not that much more. I don't really want to go down the rabbit hole of what's something worth. So I really like these cars. They're totally worth the money that people ask for, but sometimes it's a little absurd. I think there's one M2, but it's in like nearly mint condition, to be fair. There's an M2 in Japan right now at the USS Tokyo auctions. I'm joking that it lives there now because it's just been trying to go through the auctions, and allegedly the seller's looking for like $38,000 US. And that's for the car itself in Japan, and that, I think that's absurd. But hey, if you have a lot of money and you really want a really nice condition one and you don't want to question it, I'm like, hey, go have at it. That one exists. It's in Tokyo right now, in the auction lot. So if you want to buy it, just bid all the way up and hopefully you'll get it. But otherwise, it doesn't make any sense to try to buy something like that, because with the money you save to buy an
average condition one, you can build one of these up with all the parts available to be a pretty decent car. You can always fix like body imperfections and stuff. Yeah, it's not original paint or whatever, but look, this M2, the Mazda speeds, they're not original paint. They're just painted after the fact, so it is what it is. It's fine. These are fun cars on their own. Like the exterior appearance is just an added bonus.
These were all outfitted with 13-inch wheels. Stock, they were Steelies. These have the upgraded AutoZam wheels, the alloys. They are 13s, and what are they? 155 by 65 13s. Same front and rear. The brakes in the front are single piston, solid disc, not vented. And the rear brakes are the same, single piston, solid disc. I believe it's a little bit smaller in the rear, but I don't remember exactly. The AutoZam is rear mid-engine. This is not a trunk, as we would all know already. In the rear here, powered by an iron block twin cam F6A. This is a 3-cylinder 657cc engine. It is fuel injected and turbocharged. It is mated to a 5-speed manual transmission right there. It is transversely mounted mid-engine in front of the rear axles. Let's take a quick look at the condition of this one though. So this has the optional aluminum strut tower bar. Let's take what is this? Something R51 booster. Did they put some weird stuff in here? Oh, had some pressure in it. There's coolant. It's kind of dark though. Maybe a coolant flush is in order. I mean, these cars are really, really old. They're 93 probably, because this is a later production model, because it's a number 3000 something. So what's that? It's 32 years old. 32. Yeah, 32 years old. There's no rust or anything in here, which is very good. Very good. Let's see. How's the air filter? It is dirty on the top, and I'm going to assume it's dirty on the bottom. Okay. Don't feel like getting my hands dirty right now. Just taking a look around. Fuel filter looks new. You can see the paint here where the red is showing through. There's some stickers here. I make reproductions of all of these stickers. If you're restoring your AZ-1, all that stuff is remade. The whole exterior decals that go on the side, like air intake, AutoZam AZ-1, like micro exciting whatever coupe. This one, I don't do this one. Maybe I should. I don't know what this one is. This looks like some sort of a maintenance sticker. It's not OEM. I wonder if this one has the crack in the door. Yeah. They all gain this little crack in the door right here, just from stress of being slammed down onto this rubber stopper, I guess. I don't know. This one has this thing broken, so we gotta pull on this to pop the frunk. This is what the frunk looks like. Very good condition too. Looks like somebody repainted this radiator cover at some point, but everything is rust free. That is good. That's good. This is where those 2 yellow lights are mounted. This is how that works. Very simple stuff. Ooh, that's interesting. Oh, the hole is still offset on an M2 hood, even though the scoop is centered and enlarged. It funnels it down to the correct size that goes into this hole. This is what feeds you the fresh air intake through the vents. This is it's the scoop for people. So that's cool. I think the Mazda Speed one just shoots it straight across. It's bigger than the hole. I gotta double check. This car has been converted to 134A. This hood is very light. All the car panels were injection molded plastic, so they had huge dies to press these and stamp these out. These aftermarket, these parts that were made afterwards were all fiberglass. These side vents are actually functional. The intercooler sits behind here. There is a access panel to get to your engine behind the spare tire once you remove it. There's a little panel with some bolts on it. You can take that out. You get full access to the other side of the engine right there. I feel like I'm kind of jumping all over the place here. This car has some speakers in the back. These, I don't believe these were optional. I've never seen these in the brochures, but I might be misremembering because it's been so long. Let's see. Saw these things back here. What's going on? I've never gotten a car that had all these parts loose in here. I was told that's not allowed, but clearly it was allowed. So we have the original antenna right here. That's nice to have. This is like a rear shelf. Sometimes there's a CD changer here. There's like a little rack. You can have a subwoofer. I believe there's an air purifier thing that they make too that was actually sold, like an ionizer. So those were things that were optional for the AZ-1. There are also sunshades that this car does not have, but this prior owner had this little fabric sunshade. It's better than nothing. Same on this side. This one looks like it's in better shape. This one looks like it's been crushed. Probably got caught in the door one time. That's my guess. The owner installed the dash cam, front and rear. There is this, whatever this does, it doesn't seem to work as far as I know. Gorilla. Is it a touchscreen? Oh, it's a touchscreen. Oh, it does work. Too bad I don't know what any of this says. Is it a TV? Oh, it's a TV. So, yeah, just driving in your AZ-1 and watching TV. Just imagine doing that in Japan. That's pretty funny. What's this? A bass sound creator. So there's a little subwoofer they installed here. A lot of aftermarket goodies. Fun fact about the AZ-1s. AZ-1s actually had no audio as standard. So a radio was actually an optional upgrade. I'm looking at this tray right here. I think this was the original tray here. And we're seeing an AZ-1 that actually didn't come with the radio. And that's why this person installed all this stuff. Huh. It's possible. Anyways, the M2 and the Suzuki Karas were the only ones that got the rare fog light button. This is a really rare piece in AZ-1, in the AZ-1 world. It's a coveted piece because people like to have the fog light button for their own fog lights or accessories. This is a dummy like dead switch. If it's not like a fog light switch one, it's the same thing. It's just this one's unpressable. So I remember these going for like $300-400 just for like the switch assembly, which is crazy. And it's hard to find one in good condition because usually this white part is all rubbed off. This little car, as little as this car may be, it also has regular creature comforts such as AC. You get your HVAC system right here in the center. There is a ashtray. Tom out in Australia has 3D printed a nice carbon nylon version of this thing that replaces this, and it makes it a cup holder. So that is more useful to us because we don't plan on smoking in these. This one is brand new in here. It's never been smoked in. It only has 10,316 kilometers, and we put a few hundred on that to drive it back from the port of New Jersey up to me in Boston. So that is very this is a very low mileage car. It still has the original steering wheel. This is the full-size wheel. The steering column is not adjustable. This is fixed. So if you're a big guy, you know, this might be a problem. I am 5'10", 32 inseam. I don't have a problem with this. This is perfectly fine for me. I know people complain about this stuff, but it's not a problem. I've got these big Hoka shoes right now. These sneakers are bigger than my usual ones. Like, look how thick the soles are. But I don't really have any problems with driving in here because this is just how I drive. There's a dead pedal way over in the corner there. Dead pedal's there. So when you're just cruising, you can kind of be like this. Clutch, brake, and then gas, you know, all this stuff is easily accessible and fine. Those are 10.5 shoes, by the way. You
can definitely see why it's kind of awkward though, because this is the side sill of the car. There's that big hump over here that's literally about a third of the width from this wall to this wall on the right. That is occupied, so all the pedals are a little bit to the left there. That is really weird, I guess, but that's just how it is. That's the wheel over there. So as you guys know, I have one of these cars. I've never necessarily would have called this like super fuel efficient or whatever, but that's where the fuel gauge is. We filled up before we drove it home from Jersey, so it drove like 250 something miles. We didn't go that fast because he was pacing me in my crippled truck. So that's how much fuel we have left from that trip. That's not bad. That's actually very good, because we were going like 55, maybe 60 miles per hour the whole time, which is a lot of restrained, but makes sense because this wasn't my car and it wasn't my friend's car either. A shout out to my buddy Joe. Thanks again for coming out on short notice to pick this thing up and drive it home for me. I gotta move the Sentry. Look at this gleaming blue paint, this fantastic looking metallic blue. Gotta move the Sentry so I can try to get that AZ-1 out here for a quick whirl. It's been a little while since I've personally driven an AZ-1, just because mine's been out of commission for like a year. And I haven't had time to go figure it out. So, I mean, I've driven mine around the block here and there, but it doesn't count as driving. So, it's a little weird in here because I haven't been used to this. Mine has a slightly different mod where I've modified my seat cushion a little bit, so I sit a little bit lower, but even so, this isn't so bad. I still have the same complaints as before. Everything's in my way, so my line of sight is looking like right under this sun visor thing right now. So this is where my eyes are. If I slink down a little, or if I scoot down, yeah, I'd be in a better shape, better viewpoint, but I'm 5'10", so this doesn't really work. If you're shorter than me, then oh, this would be perfect for you because the car was designed for people like you, right? So I know people that are over 6 foot that own one of these things, and you know, there's different mods, different things you could do to smaller steering wheel, the seat being one more notch further back, taking out the driver's seat like slider rails, because like realistically, no one's sliding this thing if you live in America. That's not how it works. There's what else you could do? Shave the cushion, do a whole different seat. I think that's it for height mods, at least. Let's go this way. Perfect for around the city. There's plenty get up and go. I mean, these were rated for 63 horsepower. Yeah, they're not 63 horsepower. 64 PS as commonly known, because that's the unit they use in Japan. They were certainly not 63. Why were they not 63 and it was just tomfoolery? It was because the F5B was the 550cc version of this engine Suzuki made before the K-car regulations allowed it to be 660cc. That's when they they stroked it out to an F6A, and that's what they called it now. So because now it displaces 657cc up from the 550 and change, whatever it was. Forgot. I thought I was driving my tow truck. So the F5B turbocharged was 550-ish cc, and that was rated at 63 horsepower. So when regulations changed, became 660s in 1990, I believe. They stroked it, and the same engine, stroked out, longer stroke, and now it's 657cc, and it's still rated at 63 horsepower. That seems a little sus. People like me and other people in the community around the world have actually dynoed their AZ-1 in the last few, like 5 years or so, and they all reported a similar low 70 number at the wheels. So that means at the crank, we were doing like 80, right? 80 is not 63. So Suzuki, the Cappuccino ran the same motor. It had a slightly different setup because there's all kinds of weird EGR vacuum controlled stuff going on in the Cappuccino that the AZ-1 does not have. The AZ-1 doesn't really have a functional EGR valve because the way the vacuums are set up back there, and there's the solenoids or whatever. We don't have the solenoids that the Cappuccino has, and the vacuum hoses, the emission stuff, go to vacuum hoses that really go nowhere in the throttle body. So technically, it's just there for show. Why was it done like this? Was Mazda up to some tomfoolery? Probably. Who knows? Actually, I'd be curious if the Alto that had the same intake manifold has the same setup, because then we would kind of figure out what was going on. Because of this, poor Honda got screwed when they sent their Honda Beat out, respecting the gentleman's agreement of 63 horsepower, because now, as we all know, the Honda Beat is the slowest one of the three, for obvious reasons, not being turbocharged. I mean, genuinely, it probably did produce 63 horsepower, and, you know, to their detriment, they got screwed. I wonder if the AC in this car works. I hear the compressor kick on. Oh. The AC works. You know what's rare? AC working in an AZ-1. It's a must to have because you're gonna bake in the sun. So having AC in this thing is very helpful. You could ceramic tint your car, and then that way maybe it's not as important to have, but it is still very nice to have working AC in your cars, especially when you live in hotter climates. I live in Massachusetts. It's not that hot, but you know, I like AC, so it is very important to me that the AC system works. The best part about the AZ-1 is how it handles. It handles very quickly. It steers very quickly like a go-kart. Like, if you've ever driven a go-kart, you know what this feels like, except, you know, on a slightly larger scale. And obviously more power than a go-kart. But it's very go-kart feeling. It makes it so much fun. And if you leave the car stock at its 63 horsepower, 70-ish, but if you leave it stock there and just drive it in the city, you can be ringing out 9,000 RPM all the time, just because it's fun. And most of the time, you would not even be breaking the law just because you're not going that fast. And we all know how fun it is to drive a car at its limits versus driving a super high-powered car and you're hardly using 10% of its performance. So this is tons of fun just to drive and just listening to it, because you get to ring it out. I mean, it's almost like a motorcycle, because you know motorcycles rev this high just because that's just what they do in first and second gear. Except you're not going to be breaking the law. You're not speeding. You're not doing anything. I mean, maybe some cops would be upset at you because you're revving it up. But if your car is stock like this one, it is pretty quiet outside. You still get to hear everything inside because the engine is right behind your head. There is some sound insulation of that steel panel that covers it, because I've tried to drive it with that off before and it is deafening. So having that panel cover it up, it's perfect in here. Here we are now at the bumpiest road known to man. It's kind of embarrassing for the city here because, you know, where I live, there's I would probably say there's 3 major roads and they're all trash. And this is one of, what is that? So anyways, for being a major artery of your city, one of three-ish, and it's in this kind of condition, it's it's sad. It is what it is. It's a nice little, what do you call it? A tourist attraction if you ever want to visit this area. Hopefully there's no shopping carts here this time. Last time there's a random shopping cart that just appeared because the car pulled away and I was like, oh crap, there's a shopping cart in the middle of the road. This AZ-1 is on a stock suspension setup, so it is not coilovers, it's not lowered, it doesn't have anything. So you can see, actually, it is pretty comfortable in here. very smooth. It takes the bumps very well. I would say that passed. This is actually a very good ride. Mine is pretty rough over this because mine's lowered, it has coilovers and stuff. So, you know, you can definitely alter how this car rides and feels. Look at how tiny I am next to this armored truck. Or even like anything, really. It's kind of interesting. It's an interesting perspective from in here. There is a downside to failed struts, though. You would want to get those addressed because it makes for getting out very difficult. I think the driver's ones have enough life to kind of hold themselves up enough for you to get out, but the passenger one certainly doesn't. Oh, you can see the typical door strut failure happening right here. It is slowly collapsing down. They do make replacements. You can still buy these OEM struts. They are not very cheap though. I want to say they're like a little bit over $100 each if you were to buy them and get them to the US. I mean, if you like the OEM look and feel, I mean, go right for it. But how you can tell that there's counterfeit versions of these that you can get for really cheap is the two grooves right here. Those fake Yahoo auction ones typically only have one groove and they're way too strong for this, and they end up tearing the bolt out of the frame here over time just because they just shoot up and shock the thin sheet metal that on the mounting points there. So you don't want to get those ones. There are alternatives you can buy from England. So SGS, they sell struts that are like this, but they're just much narrower and they don't have the same look and feel. One more thing about these AZ-1s. See how this seat is blue? They're not supposed to be blue. This is from all the UV light and UV fade that has made this blue. Let's take a quick peek under here. These do come out. Oh, look, you can see here. This seat was produced on Christmas, December 25th, 1992. This is what the seat color is supposed to look like. So over all this time in this glass dome, you're gonna see all the AZ-1s in various colors of blue denim jeans. But really, this black color right there, that's a good view of it. That's what it's supposed to look like. And that was protected by this seat cushion blocking it from light. This is the longest I've ever had an M2 to examine like up close. There's more about this right here. This is actually painted on. You can see how when they taped it off, it wasn't exact, but it's there. It's just taped off to this side. This side was pretty straight on. It's actually pretty cool. What's bad about this car? We bought this car. My customer, he requested me to look at this car and buy it, and we went off all the photos and stuff. Yeah, you could see it had some of the fade, typical stuff of an AZ-1 sitting outside. But buying cars from a used car dealer in Japan has been rough for me. I bought 5 cars so far, I think, that way, and I've gotten 3 of them so far, and 3 of them, So, I mean, you get that risk with any used car dealers and whatever, right? Like buying any cars privately, but I feel like I've had better luck buying stuff from auction. Like, I'd rather take my chances at auction. Plus, it's cheaper. When you buy it from a dealer, obviously, it's way more expensive. So this car, we paid for it, we got it. Some of the things, like I saw this. There's a lot of silicone or RTV or whatever they're doing on this car to repair things. I would have rather that they told us certain things and they didn't. So it is what it is. This is the risk of buying used cars. It doesn't matter where it is. But, like, these are shot. So that would be nice if they told me. It would be nice that they showed us they did this weird silicone stuff all over the place. I'm not sure why they would do that. It would have been nice to see these weird paints on the thing. Me being an AZ-1 owner, I totally understand why they did this. It's just ugly as hell. So right here, this usually fades and rusts because these were just stripped down bare metal and just painted. No primer, no treatment, nothing. So over time, the paint just fades and it rusts. So this is covering up the exposed section that you would see in there. So that makes that part look pretty. Over here, they dabbled some more of that goo here. Let's see what else we got. It's really dirty right now. I bet it looks a little bit better if it was cleaned up, or it would just show more of the imperfections, especially the ones right here. I remember all the photos were clearly not showing that section. They were all like different angles or cut off, so you wouldn't see this and this. And then the whole wing is basically all cracked up in the paint. And then this is like another silicone goo all the way across. And things like this hide well on a black car, unfortunately. So it is what it is. It's not horrible. It can all be fixed. Let's see what else. There's nothing back here that I see as a problem. There's another dab of that silicone stuff. There's some silicone goo over here. Only on this door. The passenger door was not gooed. The same crappy paint job that they did right here. Let's see. Oh, they spilled some right there. Let's see. I don't see anything else on here. This is okay. They did the silicone stuff again. Oh, right. And my buddy Peter came over earlier and we looked around. We saw some other stuff. This is the only piece of rust that we found. It's hard to see it right there, but it's hiding back there. It's kind of odd because nothing is rusty. So that's weird. And like, we'll come under the car and look. I'll roll on the ground here. And it is clean down here. No red flags that I see. So the car definitely looks like it has 9,000, 10,000 kilometers on it. There's nothing weird down here. It's just, it's been sitting out and sitting out in the elements and stuff, so everything starts to fade and get UV damage and stuff. You know, this typical shrinking of this trim. I'm pretty sure this outer trim has been replaced before, because if the windshield trim is cracking and splitting like this, the door one I would expect to do the same, and actually is in decent shape. So I think this has been replaced, which is not bad. I mean, it's not a cheap part nowadays. The rear window trim is about right. Crack the same on this side, but that's it really. Oh yeah, one thing we noticed. Oh, we need new door struts. This isn't completely squashed. That's actually a good pro. I mean, it is squashed, but for 32 years, it's not bad. That's usually where it leaks, and then it all comes down onto the passenger floor, and then your floor rots. So that's not bad, not bad. Overall, I think this car was still a decent buy. I gave it a little drive, so it scuffed off the rain rust on the brakes. Drives very well. It reminds me of how fun one of these is. I drove Charles out in Central Mass with all his collection of microcars. I got to drive his when I fixed his car like a few months ago, and that reminded me. And then now I got reminded again with this one, because now I got to spend more time with it. But I need to get in here and fix my baby. And there she is. It's kind of sad. All right, I need to work on that. So thanks for watching, guys. It's an AZ-1 video that's long overdue. Mine is still a crime scene in here. There's body panels all over the place. So subscribe for more stuff like this, and I'll see you guys next time. Let me know what you think about that AZ-1. We paid about $22,000 for that landed. I forget if that covered the custom stuff too. So it's up there. It's a little bit rougher than I hoped, but you know, it's a good base car to work with, and it has all the M2 parts that you're not going to easily get like extras to come by because nobody duplicates that stuff yet. So yeah, I'll see you guys next time.